Hey everyone, welcome back. So today is Monday. It was actually a pretty good Monday for Bitcoin, for most of the miners as well. So we'll get into obviously Bitcoin, see how it did today with the charts. We'll take a look at Ethereum as well. We'll also take a look at the miners, see how they performed today, how basically the stock prices went today. We also will talk about Marathon. They are, I think, finally done securing all their hosting that they need to get to 23.3 exahash. So we do have a little update on that. We also have Celsius Mining, which went bankrupt. We got news of it last week, and that has a fallout effect to also Mawson. So Mawson is diluting shares, possibly because of it, so we'll get into it as well. And that'll be it for the day. So as always, not financial advice. You guys know the drill here. I'm investing in the following coins and companies. And let's get straight into Bitcoin, see what's going on here. And here's a chart of it right now. So we peaked today at approximately, if we look at it here on this chart here, at $22,777 roughly is where we peaked. This red line right here is our 200 weekly moving average. We've touched it once here. This was back on July 7th. We've touched it and went above it a little bit today, but we fell below it. So we're testing that line, that 200 weekly moving average, and we've obviously fallen below it. So a couple things that might happen. We either try testing it again, or we're going to fall back down, like I said in yesterday's video, where I think based on what I'm seeing on the daily time frame here, we saw this pattern where we were trading sideways for a while. We did wake up a little bit and we've fallen. And we're seeing the same thing kind of happen here as well. So we may fall even more to like the 15,000 range, right around there someplace. But it's hard to tell right now. The other thing is on the daily chart, I'm not seeing anything that's reversing of a bear pattern right now. And that's obviously going to take a while. You know, sometimes it takes about 2-3 weeks or something like that to be formed, where we can see the RSI is getting lower, prices getting higher, and we can obviously make a conclusion then that we're getting into maybe a little bull run on the daily. But right now, I'm not seeing it. So this could be one of those effects where we had it here. We obviously came down, went back up a little bit, came back down, went back up, and finally fell some more. And we're seeing kind of the same setup here where we went up, down, up, and we might be falling here, but we'll have to see. Right now, our support seems to be kind of in place at 19,500. We'll have to see if we can maintain that. If we don't maintain it, we're obviously going down. So there's two scenarios where if we do test this 200 weekly moving average again, or a couple of times, we may go above it. But right now, we're getting denied at that line. So we'll see how this plays out with Bitcoin. Ethereum obviously had a nice run today. It was up 14% today. Did better than Bitcoin did. Bitcoin is only up 5% right now. And it didn't fall as much on the 1 hour as Bitcoin did. It had a little bit correction here, went down, and went back up. So it's now on the daily getting close to that daily high right now, on the 1 hour chart at least. And I don't see any particular reason. I mean, there is some possible support here at the 1,525 mark. We can see it here. We might be able to see it also going back to previous levels here as well, which we do have it back here, which was back in 2021. So we'll have to keep an eye on that one as well. Obviously on the daily chart, it is getting kind of high, excuse me, on the RSI. So we'll keep an eye on it, see what happens here, but obviously it's going to follow suit with Bitcoin. And Bitcoin goes down, it's going to go down. Bitcoin goes up, it's going to go up. All right, so let's take a look at the miners here. So we're going to start out with obviously, so here's the actual numbers. So Annie was up 4.73% today, up a little bit in the after hours right now to 69 cents. Argo was actually down today, 3.11% to 39 cents. Then we got BitDigital was up 6.79% today to $1.73. Bitfarms was up 6.84% to $1.25 today, no after hours. Core was up 8.33% to $1.69. Obviously, it was much higher on the day. It was above $1.80 here at one point. DigiHost was up 8.04% to $1.21. The DMG was up 7.42% to 23 cents. Was obviously higher than that in the middle of the day when Bitcoin was still pumping. And then we got High Blockchain was up 4.82% to $3.70. Hot 8 was up 10.76 to $1.75. It was obviously over $1.90 here towards the middle of the day. And Iris Energy was down today 2.77% to $3.16. No trades in the after hours. Luxfolio was actually up today 3.58% to 9 cents, almost 10 cents. Marathon was up huge today, up another 21% today to $9.76. It was up over 25% at one point today as well. And we'll take a look at it here in a minute. I'll pull it up on the other chart and we can actually see how far it's gone up. Mawson was down today, 13.58% today to 87 cents. And that's based on the news that came out this morning. And that has obviously kept the stock down all day today, but we'll cover it here in a little bit. And then we got Ride Blockchain was up today 11.85% to $6.23. And Stronghold was down 1.64% to $1.80. And we got the Bitcoin difficulty right now there. All right, let me pull up Marathon here on my miners list. And we can take a look at it, see how far it's actually gone up here in the last couple of days. So here's Marathon's chart. We're on the daily. And take a look at how far it's gone up here from the bottom here, where it reached basically on, what is that, July 1st? Yeah, July 1st or so. It looks like it reached the bottom here on the 52 weeks. And if we just mark that or gauge that from right about here to the top where it hit today, which was right about there, it was up 103% basically in the last 10 trading days. That is a huge increase. And that is based on, obviously, the news that came out today, I think. Somebody possibly knew what was going on there a week earlier. And also take a look at how far Bitcoin has gone up here in the last couple of days. If we look at Bitcoin, Bitcoin has gone up from the bottom here. Let's draw that here. So we bottomed out at about 17,600 so right there. And we go up to our top today. We are up basically about 28% in the last 30 days or so. So I've said this before, Bitcoin pumps, the miners are going to typically do better than Bitcoin does over that same time frame. And then we're seeing that obviously here with a huge increase in Marathon, being up 100% in just the last 10 trading days or so. All right, so that would be that for the miners, for Bitcoin, Ethereum. We covered all that. Let's get into the news here, and then we'll call it a day. So here's Marathon's news for the day. Marathon Digital Holdings secures hosting capacity to support all 23.3 exahash of Bitcoin mining. And they are using applied blockchain. This was somebody that I was not aware of in the space. Did a little research on them. We'll get into them here in a little bit. But it looks like they are getting about 200 megawatts of hosting for Marathon with an option to increase to 270 megawatts. So Marathon, a leader in supporting and securing Bitcoin ecosystem today, announced that the company has secured approximately 254 megawatts of new hosting arrangements for its Bitcoin mining operations, with an option to increase to 324 megawatts from a variety of hosting providers. As a result, Marathon believes it has now secured ample hosting arrangements to support the company's previously stated goal of approximately 23.3 exahash per second. And Applied Blockchain will supply Marathon with 90 megawatts of hosting capacity at its facility in Texas and at least 110 megawatts of hosting capacity at its second facility in North Dakota. Marathon expects to have approximately 66,000 miners representing approximately 9.2 exahash hosted across these facilities. So that's obviously going to get them pretty close to where they need to be. And then they also have other facilities that they're going to be using as well. But Applied Blockchain's facilities are currently under construction. Based on construction schedules, installations of Marathon's miners are expected to begin at these facilities during the fourth quarter of 2022, with all miners installed by approximately mid-year of 2023. Obviously, Marathon has stated before that they wanted to get to 23.3 exahash by the end of this year, so it's being pushed back a little bit. They've been having some trouble, as we have commented here before, on getting miners energized with Compute North, and just having their own problems with their own power plant in Montana. So that is obviously why I think the stock price has been pumping in the last couple of days here, especially today on it. Here's a management commentary on it. With these new arrangements, we believe we now have secured enough hosting capacity to support our target of achieving approximately 23.3 exahash per second of computing power for Bitcoin mining in 2023, said Fred Thiel, Marathon's chairman and CEO. Each of these facilities is already under construction, which is critical for expediting installations. The first miners to be hosted under these new arrangements are scheduled to be installed in August, with installations ramping up at other locations in the fourth quarter of this year and continuing into 2023. So obviously this is good news for Marathon, and that's why it's pumping. So congrats to them for getting that done. And here's Applied Technologies. They are basically a co-location data center provider for high computing and Bitcoin mining. I haven't been able to find anything about them mining their own Bitcoins or having their own ASICs, basically. They're just building an infrastructure provider, it looks like. And this is their presentation here. We're not going to go really into this because they're not doing any mining themselves. But just kind of wanted to go take a peek at it, see what's going on here. And we'll call it a day. But they are getting funding from, one thing that I did read, they're getting funding from, where was it? There was something here. They were getting funded from, I lost it. Oh, I lost it. Okay, but I think they were getting funded by F2 Pool and Bitmain for one of the facilities that they're building out. At least 20% or something like that. Where was it? Leading designer provides funding. Bitmain affiliate and pool. Here we go. Bitmain affiliate and pool to own an estimated 3 to 10% of APLD. So they're putting in some money. CapEx share. Bitmain will fund 20% of all JV CapEx. So that's where we saw that. Yeah, so that's it for them. So obviously, great job by Marathon, at least. Some good news for them. The last couple months have not been very good. Let's get into Marathon or Mawson, and then we'll get into Celsius, which is tied to this, unfortunately. So Mawson Infrastructure Group announced a 6.4 million registered direct offering. So they are diluting shares, unfortunately. And I think they're in trouble, possibly might be in trouble. So Mawson has entered into a definitive agreement with an institutional investor for the issuance and sale of 8 million shares of its common stock or pre-funded warrants in lieu thereof, and warrants to purchase up to 10 million shares of its common stock at an offering price of 80 cents per share. That's why we saw the price, obviously, of Mawson come down today quite a bit. And if we pull that up, there it is. Obviously, you can see here that ever since the news came out, excuse me, when the news came out, it just started going downhill on the stock for Mawson today. So that's obviously not good. The gross proceeds to Mawson from the offering are expected to be approximately 6.4 million. And this is obviously before deducting the placement agent's fees and other offering expenses payable by Mawson. Mawson intends to use the net proceeds from this offering to continue to build out its digital infrastructure for potential strategic transactions and also for general corporate purposes, including working capital. I think it's actually going to be used more for the latter part here at the end, including working capital. And the reason for that is Celsius Mining has filed bankruptcy. So Celsius was a unit of Celsius Lending, which filed bankruptcy before they did. So Celsius Mining Unit files for bankruptcy just months after announcing IPO intentions, but obviously that's not going to happen now. And Celsius Networks Mining Unit, which said in March it planned to go public, filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection along with its parent company, obviously Celsius Lending. The mining unit of the troubled lenders said in March it had filed a confidential S-1 draft registration with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission to take the company public. At the time, obviously, the shares of most publicly traded crypto mining companies were tumbling. We've been tumbling since basically last November. And fast forward, obviously, to this summer, things didn't look any better. Celsius, obviously, lending had troubles with Three Arrows Capital and other DeFi lending issues. So Celsius Mining has been active in the industry via investing and lending, as well as helping host the miners to which it lends. In March, Bitcoin miner Mawson signed a 100 megawatt co-location and 20 million debt deal with Celsius Mining. So this is where, obviously, they might be in trouble because of it, or Mawson might be in trouble because of it, since Celsius is going Chapter 11 bankruptcy. They might not be getting paid by Celsius for whatever hosting they've done, co-location hosting for, obviously, for Celsius. So I think they're on the hook for maybe, I'm hoping we'll get some explanation on this from Mawson, but they might be obviously on the hook for some electrical costs, some other costs as well associated with it. So that is why they obviously had to get a dilution in the shares in order to keep them basically keep operating in the time being while they get stuff figured out. So we haven't even gotten from Mawson their June updates yet. I think they've been busy trying to figure this stuff out. And we did have a report here. This was on June 28th. So this was back about, 2.5, 3 weeks ago or so. Mawson put out an announcement here. Mawson is actively participating in energy demand response program across its operations, receiving revenue as a result and reducing operating costs. Obviously, we've seen this with other miners as well. That's not the big deal here. But the big deal here was Mawson's hosting, co-location deployment, and agreements with Celsius Mining LLC continued to perform as expected. So even 2-3 weeks ago, it looks like they weren't aware of possible issues that Celsius Mining is experiencing as well, based on what's happening with Celsius lending. So that whole effect with DeFi is having an effect on a miner, unfortunately. Well, we saw with Bitfarms also. Bitfarms had to sell quite a bit of their Bitcoins that they had in that they were holding on to pay down loans that they took out against Bitcoin. So it's been a mess. But here's something else. So Mawson continues to provide hosting co-location services, including its agreement with Celsius Mining. Mawson's contracts are on a cost plus basis. So whatever the cost for mining is for electricity, they're getting obviously something on top of that. With a strong security position and deployments are ongoing across Mawson's USA Bitcoin mining facilities. So they were still getting those miners installed. So it's a tough situation, or it's a tough place to be in, especially for Mawson, since they kind of put out the money. And I think lending was done by Celsius as well. They gave him $20 million for that as well. I don't know how that's all going to work out, but it's obviously a big mess here, and Mawson is in trouble for it. And this is the news release that we got in March when this happened. So take a quick look at it here. Bitcoin miner Mawson signs 100 megawatt hosting and debt deal with Celsius Mining. Mawson will also receive $20 million loan from Celsius in exchange for 3.85 million warrants in Mawson. Obviously, those aren't worth very much right now. A couple of million, about $1.5 million right now. So the Bitcoin miner Mawson signed 100 megawatts. The first mining hardware under the new deal will be deployed at the end of the first quarter. So it looks like those have possibly been already installed, and will bring the hosting co-location agreements with Mawson subsidiary Luna Squares to about 102 megawatts, according to a statement. The deal will make Celsius the largest co-location customer for Mawson. Obviously, this is not good. Said CEO and founder James Manning, adding that the industry is experiencing a shortage of energy and energy infrastructure, while demand and inbound inquiry for hosting continues to rise. Celsius has loaned $20 million to Luna Squares for the purpose of funding the infrastructure required to meet the obligations of the co-hosting deal, according to Securities Exchange filing. So, not sure how much of that they've paid back to Celsius, but we'll have to see. Then we have talked about the 3.85 million warrants, and Mawson reiterates its guidance for reaching 3.5 exahash by the early Q1 of 2023. We also know that Mawson has been curtailing their expenditures, CapEx, and that is based on what's obviously going on with Bitcoin right now. So, not a good sign for Mawson, at least not right now. I think the only way they can stay afloat is by continuing to dilute shares in the short term while they are in pain mode right now. And that's the thing that I don't really understand is why hosting? Why do hosting? Somebody can explain this to me. I'd love to hear why hosting makes sense for these companies. I think if you're a Bitcoin miner, you should be a Bitcoin miner. You shouldn't be putting in other people's miners where you're making 5-10% on top of that or something like that. For me, it just doesn't make any sense. At least I can't figure out why it would make sense, other than I don't know. I can't figure it out. If you have any ideas on that, let me know. But this is it. Obviously, Bitcoin had a great day today. The miners, for the most part, had a great day. Mawson, not so good of a day. So we'll see how this continues on. It's still looking like Bitcoin wants to go up in the short term, but we just don't have that confirmation yet on the long term for the daily chart. We'll keep an eye on that. We'll see what else is happening with... one other thing. Hive. They still haven't provided their financial updates or release yet. Yesterday they said that they were going to post it today, Monday. They still have a little bit of time. Obviously, it's not the end of the day yet, but we'll see if they post it, but they haven't posted it yet. So we're still waiting, obviously, on Mawson and somebody else to provide their numbers for June, and then we'll be done with everything, and we'll see how they stack up after that. So that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe. Helps me out tremendously, and I hope you guys have a great day, and we'll see if anything else happens interesting in this space. All right? I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.